you have been a major influence on just me as a professional to watch what you do and how you've done it for so long. Like before I introduce you officially, like from sincerely, I'm a massive fan, and you're someone that I had hoped to emulate at some point.
Run with that.
Yeah.
Run with that.
Okay, let's do it.
Keep this
Let's
going.
do it.
But you like people that don't work, that retire early. I get it. That makes sense.
My wife would like for me to retire sometimes. But it's the fact that you went in, you're doing play-by-play for the Savannah Spirits
in Savannah, Georgia, back in the day, man.
And that turns into, through a couple steps, SportsCenter, The Daily Show, to having your own late night talk show. Like all of that just kind of shows you it doesn't matter where you're from, it's where you're going.
Right.
And that is really inspiring to a guy like me, honestly, sincerely.
Thank you.
Sincerely. So
thank you for being so nice about that. I got a quick story for you. I was so happy to see that you were in the Celebrity Pro-Am in Pebble Beach. And I like your swing, man. It's compact. You don't go back too far.
It's because I'm scared to, but yes. Yeah.
And so I used to live up in Carmel, and I worked in local TV in Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey, the 110 market. My boss was Paul Miller. He was the news director where I worked. Now he owns the newspaper, the Carmel Pine Cone. And the Carmel Pine Cone is one of the few newspapers in America that makes money. It's free every Thursday and Friday. You get it free. It's paid. They have all this advertising, and he makes a really sweet profit. And like some people, he's on his third marriage. And I met Jackie. I've met Jackie a couple years ago. But at Thanksgiving, I was up there and I saw Paul and Jackie. And Jackie's like, I like your podcast. How'd you get Bobby Bones on? I said, how do you know Bobby Bones? She goes, I love Bobby Bones.
Thank you.
So middle-aged women love you.
That's what I hear. Yeah, that's my prime demographic there. I actually met Craig because I just sent you a DM and I was just like, hey, man, big fan. That was literally it.
Right.
Just DM'd you, said, hey, man, big fan. Then you follow me back, so I screamed like a schoolgirl. And then now we have this budding friendship.
Yes, you have a lot of followers on Instagram. Pete, you're kind of a phenomenon. And I'm in my mahogany panel den watching Turner Classic Movies, so I don't know. I don't know all these young people. You're a young person, right?
No,
you have
really.
a lot of dreams.
I have those. Yes.
And you're doing very well. I saw you on the Grammys. Did you do the Grammys?
I did.
Yeah. Mm. And you could probably dunk on Seacrest, right? You're a ball player, right?
I love Ryan, and Ryan that's my guy. So I'll leave it there. Ryan's like Illuminati, you don't want to mess with Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, he's the king.
So how was Pebble? How was Pebble Beach?
It was, the crazy thing, I'd never been there before. I'd never been allowed to play the Celebrity Pro-Am. So it was like the first year where they go, you're a celebrity. So I really felt good about that.
Yeah.
And then to get there and play what you've seen on TV for years and years was really special. And I played it well for the first time.
I don't play golf anymore. One of the smartest decisions of my life. I tried to play, and I was living in Carmel. I was taking lessons from the golf pro because he said, you can play Pebble whenever you want, because I was a local sportscaster. Then I get the job at ESPN, and I have to leave. So I said, I better play Pebble. I parred the first two holes. I birdied number 7, which is the par 3. Probably a 9-iron or maybe a 7-iron, 9-iron. And I was 2 feet away from the cup. I said to the golf pro, you give it to me? He goes, absolutely not. So I'm shaking, and I got a birdie, and I shot like a 96 because I'm not very good. But when I took lessons, the guy said, because I would push the ball. I actually don't have a strong core. I joke about a strong torso on my Instagram, but I don't have a strong core. So I push, my back releases, and I push the ball. So he says on the practice driving range, just pull back halfway and then roll your wrists. And I was snapping 5-irons. And you kind of go back a little bit. You don't get in trouble. And you have a nice, sweet left-handed swing, right?
I have a swing, and it's left-handed. Sweet is debatable, but I'm scared to go back any farther. I haven't played golf very long. And so, yeah, we played. And Jim Nantz called a shot. I'm up, and Jim Nantz is calling, and the cameras are on. I'm trembling.
Right.
And I do a lot of stuff on big stages, and I don't get that nervous because I feel confident because I've been working and I put in the time.
Right.
Golf, I did not feel that. Like I probably peed a little and was shaking. My knees were shaking. And when I hit it and I won, I beat Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
1-on-1. Beat Aaron Rodgers.
It's amazing.
Wow. Yes, that's right. Put that out there. Tweet that.
Jeez.
But if you're allowed to pee, that kind of gives you an advantage because it throws everybody off.
I was a little lighter, yeah.
But I quit because I was invited to celebrity golf tournaments, and I was horrendous off the tee, and I was very good in basketball, so it wasn't enjoyable for me to be mediocre or below. I was below mediocre in golf, so it's cathartic to get out of there.
I saw Paul Gasol playing or hitting balls on the driving range right next to me.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's Mark Gasol. Paul, it's Mark.
They're brothers.
They're both massive. And they had a hat on. They're both 7 foot, and to watch a 7-footer swing,
Right.
They were still so athletic, it looked somewhat normal. But
Yeah, it's
being
weird.
6'4", do you have to get new clubs?
Muscular 6'5", technically. I can play 5'11". I probably should have gotten clubs that worked. I blame Carl Ravitch. He made me buy these clubs from his buddy at Bristol, Connecticut. And I don't know, maybe he got a little kickback there, but they're too short for me, my clubs. That was my issue. By the way, one more thing about golf, because I'm glad I don't play. I can putt. You know why I can putt? Because it's all touch. It's all touch. I have touch with passes, with putting, but I can't swing off the tee, man.
What were you? Were you a 3? Were you a 2, a 3?
Great. One of the greatest questions ever. I was recruited to play 2 guard. I was like Pistol Pete. I also played small forward, and I had my best games at point guard. The reason I didn't play as much at Montana State, I had a full ride, is because this guy, a friend of mine, Jeff Epperly, who was from Kalispell, Montana, he was supposed to go to the University of Montana, the Grizzlies, not the Bobcats in Bozeman. But he comes down there, so now we have these two guards, and they had to go with the Montana guy. More athletic than me, kind of like a Rex Chapman. But who's better, Pistol Pete Maravich or Rex Chapman? I should have played more. First 2 games I played.
You're still holding on to that, huh?
Well, I know this is kind of pathetic what I'm doing right now. Listen to this logic. First game I played, I scored 20. I scored 20 at the Kibbe Dome in Moscow, Idaho, and then the next game I scored 12, and we had a very long 3-point line then, and I made threes. So by my math, I would have averaged 16 if I played all the time, 20 and 12. Anyway, you can cut this part out.
Yeah, we're live, so all good there.
Craig, you also bench press 240 in college, it says here?
What did he say?
He said you bench press 240 in college.
Yeah, I'm a skinny guy, and I have a massive chest and skinny arms. I do a curls and nothing happens, and then I do the bench press and I have massive chest. And now I wear sweaters and I have man boobs, so I have to wear sport coats all the time.
What do you credit that to? Just genetics? Or do you see other family members with the same massive breasts?
I don't know. I just you have to ask Arnold about that.
Yeah. I will. I'll definitely ask him next time. I mean, Craig brought something up you guys have in common. Let's talk about the Wolves for a second. T-Wolves they're 8 in the West right now, 500. Like direct is a pretty 500. I think 32 and 32.
They're right there. I think they're 32. Yeah, we won the other night at the Clippers, and my hair was blonde 2 weeks ago. Now it's changed because they went on a 3-game losing streak. My beloved Timberwolves. We win at Dallas against Kyrie and Luka. We play some great D, one of our better games of the year. We come home and lose to the Wizards. We're up 20, and then we lose to Charlotte at home. Then we go to Golden State. We're up 12 in the 4th. Nobody's playing except for Klay Thompson for the Warriors. We lose 3 in a row, and I basically exhale and say, I don't know if we're even going to make the play-in. Then an inspirational win against the Clips. I'm going to the game tomorrow at the Lakers. We're good, but we're inconsistent. We're streaky.
Very streaky. And what do you credit, though? Because again, I mean, Jaden McDaniels is awesome. Like,
how do you know Jaden McDaniels?
He will lock you up.
How do you know him?
He will lock Montana State, Craig Kilborn up and stop that Pistol Pete talk real quick. Like, to watch him, amazing. Now, why with players like Jaden or Rudy Gobert or Anthony Edwards, how are you losing these games to these teams they shouldn't even be? Like, the Hornets are terrible.
Yeah. Well, LaMelo played well that game, but our offense sometimes shuts down. They're double teaming Ant. You can take out a good player by trapping him. They double team Ant, and then our offense shuts down. We do have a player who's been out for, I think, 40 games. His name is Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty good.
Maybe you've heard of him.
We've heard of him.
But once we traded D'Lo, I supported that, we lose a secondary scorer until Cat gets back. So sometimes the points are hard to come by in the fourth quarter. I hope that answers your question.
It does. And in a very articulate way.
Thank you.
Way into the weeds where even moderate
I
basketball
don't believe
fans
you
were
know. How do
lost.
you know Jaden McDaniels? He's a stud. He should be.
What do you mean? How do I know him?
He's the national media doesn't follow the Timberwolves like I do, and he is a gifted, like a Scottie Pippen type defender.
I agree. That's
Yeah.
why I like him. I like players that play with grit. I like players that will actually play defense because
Yeah.
it's rare now, and also have league pass. So
Yeah.
when I'm working on the next day,
Yeah.
shows I watch whatever game's on. Would you relive this Viking season again?
Great question. I can't. Oh, I'm not allowed to say great question all the time.
You
Whenever
are.
I
Especially do that.
No.
Yeah.
Interesting question, Bobby. Bobby Bones.
Bobby Bones.
I think a lot of your popularity, besides being a nice guy and a gifted broadcaster, is your name and your eyeglasses. I think, you know what I'm saying? Bobby Bones is fun to say.
That hurts a little, but I'll take it.
The eyeglasses are, and you have more than I. We've talked about this. You have over 20. I have 10. You have over 20 eyeglasses.
I can't see though. Like your glasses, they make you look very distinguished. It's the whole, it's the version of you now,
Right.
right? You're Lord Kilby, but why? What are your eyes bad?
I've been wearing glasses since I was in 4th grade.
But why these glasses now and not contacts? Like probably.
I don't like wearing contacts. I want my eyes to breathe.
Yeah, never. Thought
Back to the Vikings. Great regular season. We overachieved. Our defense was always suspect. The defense didn't improve. The national media likes to say they're frauds because of the record. That's inflammatory, and that is childish to use the word fraud. We were just winning games on our schedule. Miraculously, we have the best receiver in football. I like Dalvin Cook. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a running back. He's very good. Kirk is solid. But our defense is rough, and we just hired Brian Flores, so I'm excited to see what he does.
Did you start to believe at any point near the postseason that this could be a team that would make a real run?
No, I did not. In fact, no. This is maybe this is too negative. We should not have lost at home in the playoffs to the Giants. You don't lose playoff games at home. But by losing that game, we avoided a shellacking at the San Francisco 49ers. I thought the Niners were unbelievable. They didn't have that quarterback issue in the game against Philly. It would have been maybe a different story, even though Philly is very good. But I was fearful of the Niners, so we avoided playing the Niners.
Favorite NBA player of all time?
I just told your man over here, Dr. J, that great poster you guys have, Julius Erving. When I was a kid in Minnesota, everyone played hockey. My dad was from New York. He liked the Knicks. I liked basketball, so I liked Walt Frazier first. Then I discovered the doctor, Julius Erving, and he was my favorite player. Nobody moved like the doctor. Nobody moved like the doctor.
We were talking about Wilt Chamberlain. It's the anniversary of his 100-point game. 61 years, I believe, right? 61, we said?
61.
You ever have a game like that? What's your 100-point game, Craig? It'd have to be 100, but what was the game where you look back like that was prime, Craig?
This is so fascinating. And when I was a senior in high school at Hastings in Minnesota, I averaged 26 a game. I never exploded. My high was 34, my low was 17.
Wow.
I had 17 points in one quarter, but I didn't score over 40. I love passing, man. I love the no-look, eyes in the back of your head, set up the teammates. I love passing. Larry, Magic, Steve Nash,
So you were not a ball hog.
Ricky Rubio. I was not a ball hog sometimes, but
You ever hit a game winner at any level?
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Talk me through it. What was on the clock?
Well, I don't remember that. I'll tell you the one I remember that was kind of surreal was I was a junior in high school. This is not a game winner, but nobody ever dunked in a game in our high school. And it was over the Christmas break, and my brother was back from Rice University. And there was this girl. I love saying names of girls from high school because they always sound magical.
And you hope they hear, and then they're jealous they didn't give you the time of day back
Yeah,
then. Right?
she's still not giving me the time
exactly.
of day. Listen to this name, Roxanne Tervola.
It's like a made-up movie character.
And I stole the ball, and I dunked the basketball. off one leg with one hand. And I never showed emotion because Clyde Frazier was cool and never showed emotion. But this time I put my arms up. I couldn't believe I dunked. A few minutes later, another steal, and this time I really cocked it back and slammed. And I didn't have any expression. I wanted to play it cool. And my chest felt like it was going to explode. And I ran back, and I looked at Roxanne, and I felt like I was in slow motion. I was like 16 or 17 years old, and I dunked in a game, and it was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had that experience? Do you ever play sports where you hit a home run and everyone's going crazy and it feels like you're in slow motion?
No, I was a first baseman who hit for average, so there wasn't a lot of dynamic offense coming from me.
Right.
So singles and doubles mostly.
Right.
And then when I got to college,
What's that like to live like when you sing a life of singles and doubles? Is that boring?
It is. It gets to be boring. Yeah. When you have a limited skill, you really have to grind it out.
You're very self-deprecating, and people like that.
No, that's not. Well, you say self-deprecating. That's me being honest. So that means my honesty is actually sad. Right. Is what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Can you hang into another segment?
Yeah, I'm here for you.
All right.
Bobby Bone.
All right. Craig, he said saying my name is the only reason I'm successful, folks. So Bobby Bones,
No.
Bobby Bones, Bobby Bones, Bobby Bones.
I said you're a gifted broadcaster and...
I didn't hear that part. Yeah.
Gifted broadcaster. Bobby Bones and his eyeglasses will be back.
All right, we're back. So you're fancy now, which growing up in the Midwest, when did you get fancy?
This is what I wear around the house. My parents, I'm English on both sides. I've worn silk robes since I was 12. And I watch Hitchcock movies. I've always had I used to wear Dickies. You know what a Dickie is? Anybody know what a Dickie is?
I thought you meant the brand. I wore the brand, but that was from Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this was from Dayton's in Minneapolis. I just like I have a slender frame, a tight torso. I don't gain weight. You know what's weird? People say I'm well preserved. I drink, Bobby. This is me, and I drink a little bit.
But is it the healthy stuff? Like doctors say, if you drink 9 quarts of wine a day, you'll live to be 110. But it's only like one specific wine. Like, are you dialed in on what to drink?
I drink red wine and vodka martinis. Mm-hmm. And
you posted a nice wine the other day, Craig, a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I looked that baby up.
I have fun.
But if I gave you a cheap wine,
no.
No, let me finish the
I can't
question.
even hear the
Before
word.
you start vomiting. Hold on. So, because I don't know what wine tastes like. So if I gave you a wine that was $10 and a wine that was $1,000 a bottle, without a doubt, you could tell the difference.
They actually have done these tests, and the people are impressed. The blindfolded, they don't do quite that $1,000. It's like a $200 bottle of wine and a $40 bottle of wine. And a lot of the people they're impressed with it does influence you. But I can find wines that are $20 that are good, $40 that are good. I've done it with $10 bottles of wine. I can do that. And I enjoy it with food. It's great with a steak. It's great with cheese. There was something else I was going to tell you, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, Bobby, he just said he's never tried wine. He doesn't drink. And Bobby, I knew that because you did my podcast, The Life Gorgeous, and we talked about that quite a bit. And I admire people who don't drink. That's a great discipline.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
I think I would be able to. I've never had a drink.
Right.
And I think if I did, I would be much more fun to be around.
You're fun to be around. There's no reason to start. But I do on my podcast, I implore the young people to drink in moderation. I always say, don't chase the night. Don't go bar hopping. Have an out. That's a meal and sleep. A meal and sleep. But it's fun at 5 o'clock to have a martini.
Why the podcast, and why are you so good at it now?
I don't know. I've actually taken months off because I switched to a new company, and I'm going to start dropping some more podcasts in about a week and a half or 2 weeks. Our friend Michelle Beadle.
Oh, yes.
Ryan Russillo. Maybe Bobby, you're always invited back. I hope you have time to squeeze me in. I like to say Bobby Bones.
That's the genesis of my success. People yelling Bobby Bones.
Yeah.
We've done that.
I could get A-Rod on. I haven't bothered him yet, but I can get A-Rod will do it. He's minority owner of the Timberwolves.
Do you know him better now because of that?
Didn't know him before. He appreciates that I'm a Wolves fan, and he's like, I didn't know you're from Minnesota. Why'd you grow up in Minnesota? I said, my dad took a transfer to Minnesota from New Jersey. That's why I did it. Before I forget, I wanted to go back to Carmel, Pebble Beach, because it's my favorite place in the world. And I wanted to ask you, you said it was your first time. Did you go to any restaurants or you didn't have too much time to?
We did. So a friend of mine who is a singer, artist named Jake Owen and I split a house. So we were like in the neighborhood. And
Okay.
we Zillowed that thing too. It wasn't even like a massive house, and we still Zillowed it because we could see the beach. It was like $5 million for a house right there.
You're in Pebble or Carmel?
We were in Carmel.
The little village.
Yes.
Now, I lived right next to Katie's place near Casanova Restaurant. I lived there when I worked. It was a studio apartment, and I never got tired of walking around the village. I'd go down to the beach and run on the beach. Did you do that kind of stuff?
No, none. I had to
didn't have
work. I was working, doing a radio show.
Yeah.
I was doing some promo stuff for a TV show, and then I was playing golf. And
Right.
I'm really nervous about playing golf because I'm still new.
Right.
So we did that, but I was thinking about you when I was there because I think about you everywhere. It just so happened I was there as well. But I would live there.
It's like a fairy tale village, but there's a great restaurant, my favorite, L'Escargot, French restaurant, Carrie Lautis, and that's a couple blocks north of Ocean. It's got it's really nice. There's a place called Chez Noir, new place, Grazings, a lot of great places to eat there. Mention my name. Doesn't mean anything will happen. Double charged.
So what's the plan? Because you retired in your prime. I mean, when you quit then, I was like, where are you going?
Do you guys know the word in Nashville?
You're Barry Sanders.
You know,
you're Barry Sanders of hosts.
Sometimes he was quick. I have a quick first step, by the way. Defense is boring, but man, you give me the ball, let me create. Yeah, I was a ball hog. I wasn't honest earlier. But anyway, what was I saying? Do you know the word enigmatic? Do they know that word in Nashville?
We know a few words, and that's one.
I'm a bit of a mystery. I'm an enigma. But it was a very easy decision to leave late night. Most people do not understand it. Creatively bored. I could also give you this, but I'm not going to elaborate. That show wasn't set up for victory. It was more of a placeholder. But the CBS gig was my favorite gig. It was easily my favorite gig. Did it 5 years.
You have to write a book at some point.
And you're right. And I'm jotting it down. I'm jotting things down now. And my writer friend Goldie, who works on Family Guy, he says, when you decide to write a book, call me. There are 10 stories you've told me that have to be in the book. Because I will tell stories sometimes. And I haven't even told them the Roxanne Travolta story yet. The dunking.
We'll send them a written transcript.
Absolutely.
Craig, is Luka and Kyrie going to work?
I don't know. I think Kyrie wants to go play in the Lakers. I don't know if he's going to re-sign. But the problem with the Mavericks, in my opinion, we beat them a few weeks ago in Dallas. All we did was attack the rim because they have no rim protection because they're undersized. Now, in the playoffs, when you play small ball and hit corner threes, but I don't know if it's going to work. I will say this. I'm not fearful of them in the playoffs.
If they
make the playoffs.
If they make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we have 2 minutes. I'm going to ask you two questions. Is there a group thread with any of the older, like for me, watching you guys on SportsCenter, that was the era for me? Is there a group thread with any of you texts that you guys all share with each other?
Not that I'm aware of it. I'm not on it. If
so
there
there's
is
one without you. Right,
yeah, there's
right.
probably one without me
mm-hmm.
because they know I'm busy over here.
Yeah, retired. Last question. I've always wondered this, and you can pass on this. How did you retire? Did you have so much money saved up? You just were like, because you're living here, and you quit after 5 years of doing late night or so.
Yeah.
Like I had to think the bank account was so stacked and fat for you to walk away.
Well, I would just say sound investments. My dad, I remember what he got when he retired. My dad retired early at age 52. Didn't like his new boss, but he made money in the market. And I would say California real estate is really special. It always appreciates. And I would advise young people, if you can avoid it, don't have a mortgage. So those are my
financial advice from
yes.
Craig Kilborn.
Yes.
The Rich Eisen Show desk furnished by Grainger with supplies and solutions for every industry. Grainger has the right product for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Listen, Craig, 2 segments I could do No, two's enough. But I really enjoyed it.
Bobby Bone.
And Craig said yes immediately. I'm so grateful. Again, all seriousness,
Yeah.
being as authentic as possible. You're a hero of mine in this world because of the many things you're able to do and how you did them. You did not go, I'm just a sports guy. You did not go, I'm just a funny guy. Like, you're able to move around. Agility, versatility. Like your game, it sounds like. You're all over the place. 26 a night. 26.
Hold the follow through, young people. Gooseneck.
Although we only ever hit 31 or 32.
34 was my high.
A little disappointed in that.
I know.
Yeah.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.